The message arrived on a quiet Tuesday morning at the Space Communications Center in Houston. Susan Bailey was drinking her coffee when her screen flashed with an alert. It was a distress call from the Proxima Centauri star system, sent in a simple math code that any intelligent species could understand. The message was clear and desperate. Help. Invasion. Destruction imminent. In just a few hours, the NASA building was full of people rushing around. Director Frank Wilson called an emergency meeting with military leaders and scientists. Earth had only recently joined the Galactic Alliance, a group of peaceful alien species, and this was their first real test as members. The Elysians are under attack, Wilson said, showing images of the alien civilization on a screen. They are peaceful researchers. Their planet has valuable minerals, but they have no way to defend themselves. Captain Olivia Grant of the new spaceship Defender stepped forward. "My crew is ready, sir. We can reach Proxima Centauri in 10 days with our new spacefold engine." Everyone in the room went quiet. Humans had never fought in space before. Earth was called a death world by other aliens, a planet with harsh conditions that made its life forms tough and adaptable. Most aliens evolved on gentler worlds, which gave humans a unique advantage in dangerous situations. "Captain Grant," Wilson finally said, "get your team together. You leave in 24 hours. Over the next day, the Defender was prepared for its mission. Weapons were loaded, supplies were stored, and the crew of 40 soldiers and scientists came aboard. In her private room, Captain Grant studied information about the Elysians. They were crystal-like beings who lived on a world with low gravity and high pressure. Their attackers were believed to be the Krell, a species known for taking resources from planets and leaving nothing behind. The ship's weapons expert, Steve Rogers, worked with the science officer, Linda King, to prepare for the unknown enemy. "Do you think our weapons will work against them?" Linda asked, watching as special guns were mounted on the ship. "They'll have to," Steve answered calmly. "We're bringing the best weapons Earth has." In the medical area, Dr. Jeff Cooper set up his equipment. He had worked in war zones and disaster areas on Earth and knew how to treat many kinds of injuries. Now he was preparing to help alien life forms he had never seen before. Before they left Earth's orbit, Captain Grant spoke to her crew through the ship's communication system. "We are going to face an enemy we know almost nothing about," she said. "But remember this, we come from a planet that has tried to kill us at every turn. Our ancestors survived ice ages, deadly animals, diseases, and natural disasters. Whatever we find out there has never met humans before. Let's show them what Earth people can do." The Defender's engines fired up, and the ship moved away from Earth at increasing speed. Soon, they would enter fold space, traveling faster than light toward the distant star system, where aliens were crying for help. As Earth disappeared behind them, the 40-person crew knew they were making history. They were the first humans to answer a call for help from another world, and they were ready to fight if needed. The Deathworlders were on their way. The Defender exited fold space at the edge of the Proxima Centauri system. The main screen on the bridge showed a scene of destruction. Broken ships and space stations floated like dead leaves in a pond. "Scan for life signs," Captain Grant ordered. Communications Officer Rick Miller worked quickly at his station. "Captain, I'm picking up Elysian signals from the third moon. They've made a defensive position in the old mining tunnels." "And the attackers?" "6 large ships, just as intelligence reported. They're taking resources from the planet in a very organized way." Grant studied the screen carefully. The Krell ships were huge, much bigger than the Defender. They looked like giant metal insects with long arms that reached down to the planet's surface. They hadn't noticed the human ship yet. "Take us in quietly," Grant ordered. "Let's see what we're dealing with before we say hello." The Defender moved slowly toward the third moon, using the debris field for cover. When they were close enough, they sent a message to the Elysian defenders. The alien commander appeared on the screen. It looked like a person made of clear crystal, with flat sides that reflected light in beautiful patterns. "You, came, the computer translated its musical voice. We did not expect help so quickly. We're from Earth, Grant explained. We received your call for help. The crystal being's body pulsed with blue light. Earth, the death world. You are humans. That's right, Grant confirmed. The Krell have destroyed our cities. They are taking our people and breaking them into pieces for the special elements in our bodies. We only have this moon base left. Steve Rogers stepped forward. How many of your people are still alive? 3,000. Most are not fighters. We are scientists and researchers. Grant nodded with understanding. We need to get your people to safety. Can your people survive on our ship? For a short time, yes. We can adjust our special suits for your environment. Good. We'll create a distraction to cover your escape. Grant turned to her crew. Prepare for battle. It's time to introduce ourselves to the Krell. The next hour was busy with preparations. The defenders' weapons were charged, shields were tested, and the medical bay was prepared for the Elysian refugees. Linda King worked with the Elysian scientists to understand their needs. Their bodies need higher pressure and lower gravity than we do. She told Dr. Cooper, we'll need to adjust the environment in Cargo Bay 3. Cooper nodded. My team is ready. We've set up a special area for them. On the bridge, Captain Grant watched as the Krell ships continued their work, unaware of what was coming. She thought about Earth history, about small forces defeating larger enemies through clever tactics and brave actions. Position us between the moon and the nearest Krell ship, she ordered. Weapons ready, but don't fire until I give the command. The Defender moved into position, its engines quiet, its weapons hot. Open a channel, Grant said. When the connection was established, she spoke clearly and confidently. Attention, Krell vessels. This is Captain Olivia Grant of the Earth Ship Defender. You are attacking members of the Galactic Alliance. Stop immediately and leave this system. For a moment, there was silence. Then a harsh, deep voice came through the speakers. Unknown ship, this area belongs to the Krell now. Leave or be destroyed. Grant looked at Steve Rogers. Show them we're serious. Rogers nodded and pressed a button. The Defender's main weapons fired, hitting the closest Krell ship. The energy beams cut through its outer shell. The battle for Proxima Centauri had begun. The Defender exited fold space at the edge of the Proxima Centauri system. The main screen on the bridge showed a scene of destruction. Broken ships and space stations floated like dead leaves in a pond. Scan for life signs, Captain Grant ordered. Communications Officer Rick Miller worked quickly at his station. Captain, I'm picking up Elysian signals from the third moon. They've made a defensive position in the old mining tunnels. And the attackers. 6 large ships, just as intelligence reported. They're taking resources from the planet in a very organized way. Grant studied the screen carefully. The Krell ships were huge, much bigger than the Defender. They looked like giant metal insects with long arms that reached down to the planet's surface. They hadn't noticed the human ship yet. Take us in quietly, Grant ordered. Let's see what we're dealing with before we say hello. The Defender moved slowly toward the third moon, using the debris field for cover. When they were close enough, they sent a message to the Elysian defenders. The alien commander appeared on the screen. It looked like a person made of clear crystal, with flat sides that reflected light in beautiful patterns. You came, the computer translated its musical voice. We did not expect help so quickly. We're from Earth, Grant explained. We received your call for help. The crystal being's body pulsed with blue light. Earth, the death world. You are humans. That's right, Grant confirmed. The Krell have destroyed our cities. They are taking our people and breaking them into pieces for the special elements in our bodies. We only have this moon base left. Steve Rogers stepped forward. How many of your people are still alive? 3,000. Most are not fighters. We are scientists and researchers. Grant nodded with understanding. We need to get your people to safety. Can your people survive on our ship? For a short time, yes. We can adjust our special suits for your environment. Good. We'll create a distraction to cover your escape. Grant turned to her crew. Prepare for battle. It's time to introduce ourselves to the Krell. The next hour was busy with preparations. The defenders' weapons were charged, shields were tested, and the medical bay was prepared for the Elysian refugees. Linda King worked with the Elysian scientists to understand their needs. Their bodies need higher pressure and lower gravity than we do, she told Dr. Cooper. We'll need to adjust the environment in Cargo Bay 3. Cooper nodded. My team is ready. We've set up a special area for them. On the bridge, Captain Grant watched as the Krell ships continued their work, unaware of what was coming. She thought about Earth history, about small forces defeating larger enemies through clever tactics and brave actions. Position us between the moon and the nearest Krell ship, she ordered. Weapons ready, but don't fire until I give the command. The Defender moved into position, its engines quiet, its weapons hot. Open a channel, Grant said. When the connection was established, she spoke clearly and confidently. Attention, Krell vessels. This is Captain Olivia Grant of the Earth Ship Defender. You are attacking members of the Galactic Alliance. Stop immediately and leave this system. For a moment, there was silence. Then a harsh, deep voice came through the speakers. Unknown ship. This area belongs to the Krell now. Leave or be destroyed. Grant looked at Steve Rogers. Show them we're serious. Rogers nodded and pressed a button. The Defender's main weapons fired, hitting the closest Krell ship. The energy beams cut through its outer shell. The battle for Proxima Centauri had begun. 3 Krell ships immediately turned toward the Defender. Their massive forms moved with surprising speed, weapons charging with angry red energy. Evasive action. Captain Grant shouted. The human ship dove sharply, barely avoiding the first blast of Krell weapons. Steve Rogers worked quickly at the weapons station. Their shields are basic. They weren't expecting a fight. The Defender spun and fired again, hitting a second Krell ship. On the bridge, the crew held tight as their ship shook from the force of enemy fire. Shields at 82%, reported Kelly Wilson. They're strong, Captain. Grant nodded. Keep moving. Don't let them predict our path. We need to keep their attention while the Elysians escape. The Defender danced between enemy ships, using its smaller size and better speed to avoid most hits. Each time they passed a Krell ship, Rogers fired at important targets, engines, weapons, and control centers. In the medical bay, Dr. Cooper welcomed the first Elysian refugees. They shimmered like walking diamonds under the ship's lights. Adjust the air pressure in Cargo Bay 3, he ordered, and reduce gravity to 40% of Earth normal. The Elysians moved carefully in their new environment. Their crystal bodies made soft musical sounds as they walked. Thank you, said one through its translator. We thought we would die here. Cooper smiled. Not while we're around. On the bridge, Rick Miller studied the enemy communications. Captain, I think I found something. All Krell ships get orders from the biggest one, the command ship. Grant looked at the tactical display. The largest Krell vessel stayed back, directing the others. Can we stop their communications? She asked. Yes, but we need to get closer to the command ship. The Defender rocked violently as Krell energy weapons found their mark. Shields at 65%, Wilson reported. We can't take many more hits like that. Grant gripped her chair. How's the evacuation going? About half complete, Miller answered. They need more time. Then we'll give them more time, Grant said firmly. Plot a course to the command ship. We need to disrupt their communications. The Defender turned sharply, heading directly toward the largest Krell vessel. The enemy ships tried to block their path, but the human ship was too quick. In engineering, Chief Engineer Pete Simmons worked desperately to keep the shields functioning. We're routing power from non-essential systems, he reported, but we can't take a direct hit from that big one. The command ship grew larger on the view screen as they approached. It was truly massive, like a floating city with weapons. Fire everything we have at their communication array, Grant ordered. The Defender released a full barrage of weapons fire. The Krell command shift shields flared but held. Again, Grant shouted. The second attack broke through. The command ship's main antenna exploded in a shower of metal and energy. Their communications are down, Miller reported with excitement. The other ships are confused. Grant allowed herself a small smile. Now for Phase 2. Simmons, how are our engines? Stressed but functional, Captain. Good. Take us through the debris field. We'll use the broken stations for cover. The Defender dove into the field of destroyed Elysian satellites and stations. The larger Krell ships couldn't follow without risking damage. Evacuation status, Grant asked. 70% complete, Miller replied. But the Krell are starting to target the moon base directly. Grant's eyes narrowed. Then we need to draw them away. Prepare to emerge from the debris field on my mark. The crew tensed, ready for the next phase of the battle. For Earth, Grant said quietly, and for our new allies. The Defender burst out of the debris field, weapons firing at the nearest Krell ship. The enemy vessel turned, its attention drawn away from the moon base. It's working, Steve Rogers said. They're following us. Captain Grant watched as 2 more Krell ships changed course to pursue the human vessel. Keep their attention. The Elysians need just a little more time. The Defender shook as enemy fire struck its shields. Warning lights flashed across the bridge. Shields at 41%, Kelly Wilson reported. 1 more direct hit and they'll fail. In engineering, Pete Simmons and his team worked frantically among sparking wires and hissing pipes. The engines are overheating, he called through the communication system. We can't keep this pace much longer. Grant's mind raced. They were outnumbered and outgunned. Their ship was taking damage, but humans had always found ways to win against stronger enemies. Linda King rushed onto the bridge. Captain, I have an idea. The Elysians told me something about the Krell. Make it quick, Dr. King. The Krell come from a high-gravity world with very clean air. Their bodies can't handle certain gases that are harmless to us. Grant's eyes lit up. Like what? Hydrogen sulfide. Even small amounts would make them sick and confused. We could release it into their ships through the damage we've already caused. Can we make enough? Linda nodded. We can modify our air cleaning systems to produce it. Grant turned to Simmons on the screen. Chief, can we deliver this gas into the Krell ships? Yes, if we get very close to them. We'd need to go right up to their hull breaches. It was a dangerous plan. The Defender would have to approach the enemy ships at extremely close range. Do it, Grant ordered. Rogers, target their life support systems to create more openings. Miller, what's the evacuation status? 90% complete, Captain. Just a few hundred more Elysians to go. Grant nodded. We need to buy them time. Execute the plan. The Defender changed course, heading directly for the nearest Krell ship. Rogers fired precisely, opening more holes in the enemy's hull. Releasing the gas now, Simmons reported as they came alongside the Krell vessel. Minutes passed. Then Miller noticed something. Captain, the Krell ship's movements are becoming erratic. On the screen, they could see the enemy vessel drifting, its weapons fire becoming sporadic and inaccurate. It's working. Linda exclaimed. They're being affected by the gas. Grant allowed no time for celebration. Move to the next target. Same approach. One by one, the Defender approached each Krell ship, delivering the debilitating gas through hull breaches. The massive vessels began to drift, their crew too sick to operate them properly. Evacuation complete, Miller finally announced. All Elysians are safely aboard. The bridge crew cheered, but Grant remained focused. Damage report. Shields at 12%, weapons at 30% capacity. Engine 2 is offline. Grant looked at the disabled Krell ships. They'll recover eventually. Set course for Alliance space, maximum possible speed. As the Defender limped away from Proxima Centauri, The exhausted crew finally allowed themselves to feel relief. They had saved 3,000 Elysians from certain death. In the medical bay, Dr. Cooper worked tirelessly to help injured humans and Elysians. An Elysian leader approached him, its crystal form glowing softly. "You fought for us," it said. "Your people risked everything for strangers." Cooper smiled tiredly. "That's what humans do. We protect those who need help." "The Alliance called you Deathworlders," the Elysian said. "Now I understand. You survived your harsh world by becoming stronger than the dangers you faced." Cooper nodded. "And now we're bringing that strength to the stars." The Defender limped into the Galactic Alliance station orbiting Taz City, its hull scorched and damaged from battle. Alliance officials watched in surprise as the small Earth ship docked with their station. Captain Grant stood at the airlock as it opened. She was tired, with a bandage on her arm and dirt on her uniform, but her eyes were bright with triumph. A tall, thin alien with blue skin and 6 arms greeted her. This was Ambassador Zorn, the station commander. "Captain Grant of Earth," Zorn said, his translator making his clicks and whistles understandable. "We received your message. Is it true? You engaged the Krell fleet and rescued the Elysians." "It's true," Grant replied. "We have 3,000 Elysian refugees on board. They need medical care and places to stay." Zorn's large eyes blinked rapidly. "This is unexpected. The Krell have never been defeated before." Behind Grant, the first Elysians began to exit the ship. Their crystal bodies glowed softly as they moved into the station. Many Alliance officials gasped at the sight. "The Elysians live," one official said. "We thought they were lost." The Elysian leader, a crystal being named Sorel, stepped forward. "We would have died if not for the humans. They fought when no one else would." Ambassador Zorn called an emergency meeting of Alliance representatives. Captain Grant and her senior officers attended, still in their battle-worn uniforms. "Tell us what happened," Zorn asked. Grant explained how they had found the Krell ships destroying the Elysian world, how they had fought against overwhelming odds, and how they had used the hydrogen sulfide gas to disable the enemy. "Your ship is half the size of a Krell vessel," one representative said. "How did you survive?" Steve Rogers smiled. "We're faster and more creative. And we're used to being the underdog." Dr. Cooper presented his medical report. "The Elysians need a new home. Their planet is destroyed. They need a world with low gravity and high pressure." The Alliance representatives looked at each other. "We have several uninhabited worlds that might work," one said. "We will help them resettle." Later, as Alliance doctors treated the human crew's injuries, Linda King sat with Sorel in the station's observation room. "Why did you help us?" Sorel asked. "You could have died." Linda looked out at the stars. "On Earth, we have a saying. All that is necessary for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. We couldn't just stand by." "The Alliance has always been cautious about Deathworlders," Sorel said. "Your aggressive instincts, your competitiveness, these things made other species nervous. And now they see that those same traits make you powerful allies." Sorel's crystal body pulsed with warm light. "My people will always remember what Earth did for us." News of the battle spread quickly through Alliance space. Many species that had viewed humans with suspicion now saw them differently. Alliance military officials began requesting human advisors, eager to learn from Earth's fighting techniques. Captain Grant received a message from Earth. Director Wilson's face appeared on the screen. "Congratulations, Captain," he said. "You've changed how the galaxy sees humanity." Grant shook her head. "We just did what needed to be done." "Well, the Alliance doesn't see it that way. They're calling you heroes. 3 other species have requested Earth's protection. They want defensive agreements specifically with us." Grant smiled. "So Deathworlder isn't a bad word anymore." "Not at all. It's becoming a term of respect." Wilson paused. "Your orders are to bring the Defender home after repairs. Earth is planning a proper welcome for you and your crew." As the call ended, Grant looked around at her damaged but proud ship. They had lost 2 crew members in the battle, but they had saved thousands of lives. The Deathworlders had made their mark on the galaxy. 6 months after the battle at Proxima Centauri, the Defender returned to Earth. The ship still showed signs of damage, but it flew proudly into orbit. Thousands of people watched from the ground as their heroes came home. Captain Grant stood on the landing pad at the Space Center in Houston. She wore her formal uniform with new medals pinned to her chest. Behind her, the crew of the Defender lined up in perfect formation. Director Wilson stepped forward with a microphone. Today, we welcome home the brave men and women who showed the galaxy what humanity stands for. The crowd cheered loudly. Grant looked at her crew with pride. They had suffered, fought, and won against impossible odds. After the ceremony, Grant attended a special meeting at the new Galactic Alliance Embassy in Washington. Representatives from 12 alien species were there, including Sorrel, the Elysian leader. The Elysians have a new home world, Sorrel told Grant. It is small, but it has the right conditions for our people. We have named our first city New Defender in your honor. Grant smiled. I'm glad your people are safe. Ambassador Zorn approached them. Captain Grant, the Alliance Council has a request. We want Earth to help train our defense forces. Your tactics and thinking are unique. We would be honored, Grant replied. Director Wilson joined them. It's more than just training, he said to Grant. 5 different species have asked for defense agreements with Earth specifically. They want human protection. The term Deathworlder has changed meaning, Zorn added. Before, it was almost an insult. Now, it is a mark of respect. Later that day, Grant visited the memorial garden where trees had been planted for the 2 crew members lost during the battle. She stood quietly, remembering their sacrifice. Steve Rogers came to stand beside her. We changed things out there, he said softly. Changed how the galaxy works. Grant nodded. Earth was always going to make its mark on the stars. I'm glad we did it by helping others instead of conquering them. Across the garden, Linda King and Dr. Cooper were meeting with alien scientists. They were sharing ideas about medicine and technology, learning from each other. Any news about the Krell? Grant asked. Alliance patrols say they'd gone back to their own systems, Rogers replied. They're staying quiet for now. They'll be back someday, Grant said, but next time, they won't face just one Earth ship. As evening fell, Grant looked up at the stars appearing in the darkening sky. Somewhere out there, other species were in danger, other worlds under threat. But now they knew that if they called for help, humans would answer. The galaxy was learning an important lesson. Earth people fought not for power or land, but to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. In the months that followed, Earth built more ships like the Defender. Human advisors traveled to Alliance worlds, teaching defense tactics, and alien visitors came to Earth in growing numbers, no longer afraid of the dangerous Deathworlders. 1 year after the battle, the Defender launched again with a new mission. Captain Grant stood on the bridge, looking at her crew, a mix of humans and aliens working together. Set course for Sirius, she ordered. Another call for help has come in. As the ship accelerated toward the stars, Grant smiled. The Deathworlders had found their place in the galaxy, not as conquerors, but as protectors. And the galaxy was better for it.